Okay, I'd like to call the council meeting of Tuesday, July 16th, 2019 to order. Ryan, please take the roll.
Councilor Lehman. Here. Councilor Marcus. Here. Councilor Milich. Here. Mayor Clarich.
Here. Okay, number 3, reports from department heads. Okay, Public Works, we're a little short. Fire and ambulance. Stuart, anything you just want to throw in?
No, we didn't have a meeting
Okay.
the other night, so.
Okay. Engineering, Ryan, we're going to probably be looking to have a report next meeting, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, we're being hung up on that grant money, but then we want to follow up on last year's work that has to be done, so we're going to start working on that. Okay. The attorney, Mr. Carney, is there anything you want to visit with right now?
Just on the agenda, Mayor.
Okay. Long-range planning and zoning, have they met?
We'll schedule a meeting in a couple weeks.
Okay. Recreation board, have we received anything?
No.
Haven't met? Okay. Library board?
There's one, we don't have a board, we're looking for members, so if anybody wants
So
to.
we gotta advertise more? Okay. Library board, I don't believe we have anything. Beat, anybody have any comments? Since we didn't have a meeting we canceled the early meeting in July? Okay. Sheriff, he gave us a written report.
Yeah, the report's in your packet and posted at City Hall.
Okay. Clerk, Ryan.
Just a couple things. Trent and I attended the Minnesota Power Municipal Customer Meeting this morning over at Giants Ridge. We've had a few residents ask if the city was going to be getting a rebate. We are not this year. Just a couple points of interest. Minnesota Power is on track to use 50% renewable energies by 2021. And also their natural gas plant in Superior is moving forward. They're working on permits with Wisconsin. Also, the PFA has meetings this week, so we should hear something fairly shortly on what amount of our overall infrastructure project we're going to get from that grant source. The pump house stores new ones are going to be installed tomorrow, so if you see someone working around there, that was covered by a grant from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We signed the grant contract with DHS to reimburse the city for that $37,000 that we had engineering work done at the school. And also I did talk to the engineer regarding the punch list items for the Seville Whiteside, and he was told by Utility Systems that should be completed by the end of next week. That's all I got.
Okay. Ryan, do you want to make a comment to why we're not getting the rebate, or why the rebate is going to be forwarded to the city? You gave me a couple of reasons.
Yes. Basically the reasons that the Minnesota Power executive said they've had they were down at their Boswell plants, line 3 and 4, and just had some unexpected costs with that. That's the main reason. And also with the push to obviously move towards renewable, the cost for research and putting that infrastructure into place is just driving up their overall expenses.
Okay, then we'll move on to KCIRSSD. John, you were there, and I was there. It was a fairly quick meeting. Anything of interest that we had talked about outside of the beaver control? They talked about briefly, and it's hard. They want to get another half-time employee or full-time employee, and they can't find anybody because those school construction projects over in Grand Rapids are taking a lot of the labor that way, and there's going to be more projects coming up. But they are still looking for someone.
Yeah, you got kids in St. Cloud and Ely, and I think Itasca has the classes to go into wastewater, and evidently they're not full, or everybody got something, I don't know. So, I don't know, we'll have to keep doing what we're doing until something changes.
Keep an eye on it. Okay, that takes care of everything for the reports from the department heads. We'll move on to number 4, council additions to the agenda. I don't have anything. Any members, or Ryan, is there anything that we have to add?
Nope.
If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Stuart. Is there support? Support by Jim. Further comment or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Number 5, Citizens Forum. Persons wishing to address the council must sign up to be recognized. Anybody wish to speak? Okay. Front and center. Welcome.
Thank you. I apologize, I'm a meeting late. I didn't realize that the Wanless truck route was on the last meeting agenda, which I wanted to point out that I'm not sure if you know that your website is severely outdated. It does not post agenda or meeting minutes on there. I had asked Councilman Lehman, where does the city post the agenda so that citizens know what is on meeting agenda? One of the places was the post office, and today when I looked to see what was on the agenda, it is not there. So as somebody that does not go regularly to City Hall or to the library, I think it would be nice if we could utilize the technology of the website to be able to be informed of what you are discussing at your meetings.
In the post office, it's posted in a glass cage, not on the billboard. On the south wall or the glass cage so nobody can steal it.
I guess I didn't.
That's where it's always posted.
I can make sure they get on the website as well
yeah.
going forward.
Yeah.
Well, your website meeting minutes are from January of 2018, so.
Not a problem. Good points.
Thank you.
Ryan, we'll take care of both those issues. Okay.
My concern that I wanted to come today was to talk about what I felt was a hasty decision to designate Wanless as a truck route. I did watch the meeting replay online, and I didn't note any council members take any issue with the effect of the residents that live on Wanless. That is not a St. Louis County truck route. The citizens were assessed nearly, I think Ryan gave me a figure, $65,000 to redo that road at the time it needed to be completed. I also didn't hear the council do any research on what that road was rated as far as, is it rated to hold the weight of those trucks? Because it is not a county truck route. The county truck route is through what you had talked about before, Culver, and then it goes down Pennsylvania. Councilman Marcus brought up that there's spillage, different things. I'm not real sure how the logic of it's okay for that spillage to be on Wanless versus the truck route on Culver, what the difference there is for the citizens.
It's 2 blocks to 12 blocks.
I understand that.
Yeah.
That is the only logical.
Little safety is the number one.
I have a child that lives on Wanless.
Well,
can I speak,
12
please?
blocks of
Mayor,
child.
may I speak?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, John, we'll answer this.
I would like to just get my points out.
Okay.
I don't feel that my child or any other children that reside or play on Wanless, especially now with the school, you have all the kids playing up at the school. I don't feel that their life should be any less weighted in the decision to make a truck route on Wanless versus on Culver. I feel that if the council wants to make Wanless a truck route, there should be a discussion and research before just a decision is made. I don't feel that any of the council reached out to any of the residents on Wanless to discuss it with them. I am not okay with being assessed an additional $4,000 on my property taxes because you decided to make that a truck route with no support from county or state funding. If Culver needs to be redone, that is a St. Louis County truck route. You can seek funding. I know that there is no guarantee for either. I understand that and accept that. But you are not eligible on Wanless to do that. You will be assessing the residents on Wanless if you redo that street, and I don't think that that is fair. I don't think, the only logical point that I heard in that whole meeting was when John said it's 5 from 12 blocks. And to me, those trucking companies do not contribute anything to the city of Buhl as far as paying for our roads or paying for our taxes. I don't care if they have to go an additional 8 blocks. They can increase their rates then, $5. That was the only logical explanation. I thought it was very disrespectful to make such a hasty decision and not take into the consideration that we paid for that road. That road is being ruined by the trucks that come there. There was no discussion on the rating for that road to see what the duration would be to hold up to those trucks versus a truck route is designed to hold the weight of those trucks as long as possible. It's why road restrictions exist in life.
Anything else?
Yes.
Okay,
I have
keep
one
going.
other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Just want to make sure before we respond.
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering if there was a reason or if the council would entertain, I know the posting of signage has been told to me for 3 years that we were getting truck routes, signs and everything. I don't know where those signs were being made for 3 years, but they never got produced. But I was curious if the council would entertain putting some type of signage on Highway 25 as it enters into the city limits of Buhl, some type of noise restriction sign so that people, I believe the term is jake braking. I'm not 100% sure, I'm not in the trucking world, but some of the vehicles use very, very loud braking and it's disruptive. And I've seen in a lot of other towns that have to accommodate truck routes that they post that, you know, some type of noise posting that, you know, the city enforces. I don't know how we would enforce it, but it would just be nice to have some type of signage saying, please don't be so loud when you're using your brakes, because they don't, it's my understanding they don't have to brake like that.
You're right. And there is a sign up there. There's a sign by the skating rink and there's a sign by the old shortstop that's, I think by the old shortstop that says that no jake braking.
I think you might be looking at a sign that is now completely white and obliterated.
Well,
There are several signs on that road coming into Buhl that maybe did say something at one point, but they are washed out and don't say anything now. And truthfully, I'd like to eliminate that sign because I don't want that to be the truck route. But on 25, they're very loud coming in into town.
I can hear them in the morning coming down the highway.
How long is this gonna go on with these trucks? Does anyone have any idea?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be something that they need.
Well, I don't know. I was.
It's gonna be a yearly thing, year after year after year. This is gonna be.
Kate,
Yeah.
I talked to Tom Kowalski.
Where's this stuff going? I don't even know where this stuff is
He
going.
said that there was only a week left of hauling and that was it.
For this week, yeah.
For this year?
For the year.
Well then, I mean, what are they using it for?
Hot mix.
Yeah, they're using it for
rock.
making the plants. I mean, they're pulling it out of like over by the landfill now. You know, they're starting to, because we're working in cotton, so they're starting to use the pit over by the landfill. It's the county landfill. So.
That, anyhow, the specs on Wanless and Culver and 4th Street are the same. They were done the same way. You know, they had like almost a 3-foot cut. We backfilled and did whatever, and that road is just as good, if not better, than Culver, Wanless is.
Thank you.
And the reason being is the 2 blocks compared to the 12 blocks, it's a safety, it's an issue. I mean, we have a huge majority of the people on the 12 blocks and we have less people on the 2 blocks. So it's just common sense that it was a safety issue. And originally, actually, it did go in Wanless. And a few people on Wantest complained and the council said, okay, we'll go this way.
Are you done?
I had 10 times complaints than I would get from Wanless from the people in town.
I understand that, Councilman Marcus, but who is paying for their street?
Well,
No, that is a huge concern, John.
we'll give you a contract that says if that road falls apart, you will not pay.
So then in 3 years, when the next council is on there and you're not.
You have a contract.
An indefinite contract for every member on Wanless that the city will absorb all of the fees for construction.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't assess for that. That street is never going to break down.
That is untrue.
Well,
there is no
in 30 years
forever.
it might. Just like any street.
You're exactly what Mayor Claridge just said. That's gonna be somebody else's problem when it does.
I want to weigh in on some things, being someone who comes, okay. Am I to understand that the trucks used to take the Wanless route and then the council switched it? So there is a history of that being used, that's fine, okay. Now I'll tell you why I went along with this, and here's what I looked at. I looked at the short area that's there. But another thing that really weighed on my mind was that the short stop, which generates a lot of traffic, moved from that end of town to this end of town. We're getting people complaining now that they want a sidewalk to the shortstop from about where the hockey rink is. I mean, we got to look at that. I'm surprised how many people are walking that. There's more traffic. We also have our recreation comes off of that road onto Forest. It comes from the park, from anything that's downtown. So, and I've been at the city hall almost every other day, if not every day, and there's trucks going by here yet. So it's not like it's a uniform who's doing what. We're gonna have to look into this and come up with a final decision. You brought a very, very valid point. I just want to let you know where I was coming from when I was thinking. So, I agree about the truck route signs. Now, the Jake braking, I think that's going to become a law enforcement issue, isn't it? So, I mean, that's something.
Well, they're not even stopping at the stop signs.
No, they're not. It's not a safe.
And that was happening on this route too. So, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
I think we have that problem throughout all of Buhl.
But when we designed Wanless up by the shortstop, we actually made that a truck turn. You notice that it's wider all the way in front of the school. That was designed because the trucks came through town that route. And that's why they designed, there's an extra lane there that was designed strictly for trucks turning from the Virginia exit going north, going out of town.
So my historical research shows that is untrue. That is an extra lane there because that used to be a busing lane. Buses used to go there. When they redid the street...
Well, it was a truck turn, we designed it for a truck turn lane, yeah.
A busing lane. Busing lane is quite different language than
when we put that road in there, we never even had a school. It was put in there in like 201.
Correct, but the space was already there to incorporate a busing lane. No. You weren't gonna pull out the yard and the sidewalk to not accommodate that. You just redid what was already there.
No, I had a power pole right there on the corner. I had to move that power pole into the yard to run it south on Wanless. That power pole was right where the trucks in that lane that you're talking about. That wasn't there.
And I don't recall.
Well, I do. I had to move the power pole.
This is a valid issue. I guess there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So Ryan, and attorney, please weigh in if you have to also. I think this is something we have to set up a meeting before next year with the county and get this squared away about what the route is. And this council will have to reaffirm what the route is. We'll have to do that. We'll do the research, especially on the condition if that street can withhold that. But everything I'm hearing, it sounds like it's set to do that. We'll research that pole. I mean, John, you were on the crew then. You moved it. The Jake, we're gonna have to have law enforcement involved in this too. We have to make it as safe as we can for the majority of the people that reside in the town. And that's going to be the ultimate decision. That when I vote, that's how I'm going to vote. And I'm going to look at that. But I want to make sure it's safe there as well as it's safe here. And that we listen to all the concerns that you would bring up or any of the people who live there, as well as the concerns that have been voiced coming this way. And same thing with the spillage, that, when we talk to the county, that's going to have to be factored in to those bids, those quotes, whatever, when they let those go. Ryan, is there anything that I might have missed that we should do to try to make this as palatable as we can to all the people?
No, I mean, I just want to comment on the law enforcement. Who we work with, the lieutenant has been notified a number of times regarding, but as well as everybody else that the sheriffs are only here certain days at certain times. So how we solve the law enforcement, I mean, that's a question. I know too that both Trent and I have talked to, and I forget his name, from the county regarding different types of signage and things like that. And his direct comment to both of us was, it's pretty much a waste of money because they're gonna do what they wanna do anyway.
Well, I beg to differ from the city attorney and prosecutor. The one with the jake breaking is probably in the ordinance, Ryan and I can check that. You get the signs, if they are white now and they're not on there, you know, you could have law enforcement sit, and if they can see them, usually they aren't jake breaking, but if they do that, they give them a ticket, and I tell you, you get a ticket, you know, that's coming out of your back pocket, and the word gets around if you make an example of one with regards to jake breaking. With regards to the other issue, no matter what the council does, you're not going to please everybody, just due to the nature of the business of the big trucks rolling down the highway. So I think the best they can do is bring it up every year, and what's going to be the duration of the trucking, and you know, no matter what the council does, people are going to be upset.
They start when? Right after the road restrictions go off?
Usually, yeah.
So that's gonna be mid-May, correct? So we have to get to the county and to the sheriff's department every year, probably in March, and reaffirm everything, and then be, you know, have everything posted so you know you can come and speak at the meetings too, and reaffirm where you're coming from. And once again, people sitting up here will make the decision. Like you said, the councils change over time, so.
They do, and my main concern, as well as everyone else that lives there, is that we're paying for that road, and it's just not fair to just say we all should pay for that when there's already a plan in place. Change it. Make St. Louis County, make Wanless their official.
I don't know how it got turned over, but that was a county road.
I don't know what decade you generate your info from, John.
That went all the way to the cemetery. It was a county road.
You could we called the county, John. It is not a county road.
I know, they tell you that, but I have a map that says it is a county road. Just like going in front of the Catholic Church. They stopped the county road in Pennsylvania because they said that wasn't theirs. But their map shows it going all the way to the wastewater plant and the beach.
Well, in 2004, when my property was assessed $4,000 additional for my property taxes, it was not a county road at that time because our property paid for that road. So that negates what you are saying about it used to being a truck route. If it was a truck route from St. Louis County, the residents wouldn't have paid for it through their assessment.
Well,
and that's over 10 years ago.
First of all, it was $25 a foot, so you would have to own 200 feet. Your lot is 200 feet long?
Correct. Apparently, I got assessed $3,700.
Right now.
Well,
if you'd like to dispute that, Ryan gave me that figure.
Well,
$67,000 was the figure that everybody on Wanless paid for that road. That is not a county truck route.
Well, mine still is a safety issue, and my vote is turning that traffic on Wanless because it involves less people.
Then I want you, in writing, to provide a contract for all the residents on Wanless saying that we will not pay an assessment when that gets turned over to a truck route.
Because if it goes to heck, we're gonna charge KGM.
How would you ever pay?
Chisholm did it.
Okay, we're not going to argue semantics here. The bottom line is we're aware of what your concern is.
Thank you.
You know where we're coming from.
Yes, I do.
We know that we're going to address this next, probably early spring, whatever, but we're also going to make this well known to the county, the sheriff's department. Our legal department here will be looking at this, and like I say, the one way to stop it is have a ticket one time.
Yeah.
That'll cure that, but the rest of it is, then we'll look at this this road construction. We'll do a little, we have a city engineer, we'll do some back digging and do some things there, and so that when we come back up in March, and you'll know what, you come up, we'll have all this information there. And we'll bring up the old maps here, and we'll know exactly what was once a county road, what wasn't, and we'll move from there.
I have one more question. Has the city of Buhl looked into, I know that when I talked to Councilman Keekley a while back, there was some easement in place for an alternate truck route that involved Ziegler. Has the city done any due diligence with looking into alternate, to appease the whole city? Have they looked into any alternate routes that could be worked out, or an easement type of deal? I know in the past when we talked to previous council members, that was something that had been worked out or was being worked out. I'm not exactly sure where it landed, but I'm just curious if any due diligence has been done to seek any alternate.
Yes, we did have some permission to go there, but we talked to the people out here and they kind of said no, but we haven't pushed it, and you're right. We could go out there and...
When you say that people did...
Well, the people that are on site.
Of Ziegler?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were talking to people that were in Kansas City or wherever Ziegler's corporation thing is. But you're right, we should push that more.
That, I think,
That's
would be
option.
a wonderful option. I think it would appease everybody. And I've heard from some of the truck driving companies, too, that would alleviate some of their extra fuelage going through Buhl. They would be a straight cut to the highway and left or right.
Then that's something where we in the county should partner together and try to
that would
push
be,
it that
as a
way.
citizen, I would appreciate the city looking into that.
Yeah, definitely we can go into that more.
But that's something we'll look at this fall.
Thank you.
Have them go through Kinney.
I heard you say that at the last meeting. If I was sitting next to you, I would have voted yay for that too.
Let them go through Kinney.
Well, they won't, because when they come out of Root and Fragler, it's directly uphill.
Well,
That's the only reason.
it is what it is.
Well, I know,
But
but
that's a good option. I like that.
Thank you.
We'll start the ball rolling on that
Thank you.
along with the county.
Thank you.
I'll talk to Commissioner Jugovich, see what he has to say on that.
I appreciate that.
He's been pretty good for responding to things that we need in Buhl.
Thanks.
So.
I thank the council for hearing.
Well, thank you for pointing some things out that those white signs. I we'll put that too. Okay. 6, consent agenda. A, the minutes. Regular City Council meeting, June 18th, 2019. Special Council meeting, June 18th, 2019. And Special Council meeting, June 25th, 2019. Claims are payroll number 13, $12,730.34. Payroll, June, $1,850. Payroll number 14, $14,079.51. It's the county. And accounts payable, $149,063.58. Is there a motion to approve the claims for $177,723.43 and to approve the minutes of the 3 meetings?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Stuart. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Jim. Any further comment or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Christ, I can't, you won't shut off. Any kids in the house here?
Okay, next we'll move on to business. Number 7. 7A is garbage recycling services. Discussion, approve, or reject. Ryan, do you want to handle this as long as we have groups in the...
Sure.
And we have some materials in front of us from previously and maybe some new stuff.
Just to kind of recap, at the last meeting, the council tabled this due to we were waiting on some more information. In front of you, you have an updated proposal from NIS, along with a previous memo and the waste management proposal. And Diana from Waste Management emailed me and said she'd like to address the council, and obviously Christine, you have the same opportunity. So that's where we are.
Let's hear first from Waste Management, then NIS, okay? And is there a new proposal or is there a confirmation of an old proposal? I'm not clear where you're coming from.
All right. Well, let's do this the right way. Here we go. Thank you again for having me. I greatly appreciate it. So, Waste Management has provided the 2 proposals for 2019. We've got the one there for every other week recycling, and we've got the one for once a month recycling. I know after the last meeting that I was unable to attend. I got a little bit of feedback back, at least some information. And I know the request was kind of out there is like, can you take a look at everything just to verify? And we did go through everything within those Buhl proposals, both of them, to double check. Are there any, I guess the best way for me to explain it, are there any corners we can cut? And after full review and the capital that goes in and carts that are coming in and the trucks and good wages to maintain highly qualified employees, and then the current disposal and what the recycling is doing, those are the very best rates that we do have. So I wanted to just take a moment to at least kind of highlight some of that information, because I know the service that Randy and his team provides is excellent. It is top-notch service for Buhl. Whether that is the trucks going down the road respectively, taking care of the citizens, or you've got your carts that do take a beating over winter. They get hit by a plow, something goes missing, and those items are there to go ahead and being taken care of without any additional charges. So with that kind of an information, I did want to highlight, please keep in mind that our proposal does include the sustainment of the current trash carts that are out there, which are industry spec. It includes the full brand new purchase, manufacture, and delivery of those recycling parts to do single stream curbside recycling. We've got the fleet. I know the trucks aren't necessarily the prettiest as they roll down the road, but they are, we stand up to all the specs. We make sure that we've got the spares available. If we don't have the spare in-house, we have one less than an hour away that we can pull from just in case we've got multiple trucks down. So nobody's going ahead and experiencing service interruptions, because that's not any fun. We've got tons of experience up here. I know Randy and his team, John before him, have been servicing Buhl for many, many years. So, excuse me. Without, backing down from it, I'll definitely say we're the municipal expert in the area. We know how to work with the communities, with the residents, drafting the municipal agreements that go with everything, and you get the full suite of products that go with it. Everything from working with Kinney up the street over to Grand Rapids, Nashwauk, Keewatin, Taconite. They all work with us directly to make sure that they do have that service in place. In addition, the recycling, since it is a big move from a drop site that we talked about that the last time I was here, and the issues that do occur on the drop site, moving over to that single stream curbside process is excellent. It gives your residents plenty of opportunity. It does make it easy as long as they're recycling the right things. And I do want to stress that ours is the single stream, so it is everything in one cart. I do know that the other proposal that is out on the table is not going to be available to be single stream, and that's just because of the tipping location and the processing facility is still two stream. It's not in the works to upgrade it to single stream because of the costs that go with that. So I wanted to put that information out there. Also, with the actual carts for single stream is actually a very nice thing. Once residents start the recycling process, you realize there's a lot of recycling that's out there, especially when you start looking at the cardboard and the plastic, like your milk jugs and your laundry jugs, and etc. With a cart with a nice lid tipped by the truck, those materials typically stay in the cart, and it's big enough volume to handle all those online order packaging and etc. So you've got your volume capable of handling your residential base. And probably the last thing I want to go ahead and bring up, as I mentioned in the beginning, we took a fine-tooth comb over those proposals just to double check if there was anything else. We're very articulated, and maybe articulated is the wrong word, but we're very specific on all of the financial incomings that go into a municipal agreement. The long term of it, the 5 years down the road, what pricing is going to do. We do the long-term specs on this to make sure that we're priced appropriately. Even the last term, the trash rates went up. We were not in here through that 5-year term to beg for an increase, because we provided those numbers and stuck by our proposal. So I want to throw that out there, where even our history on that and dealing with cities and dealing with councils, we do all the legwork ahead of time, provide the best possible proposal for everything that's out there, and then we stand by what we went ahead and submitted. So I want to kind of use that as my last piece, where unless it's absolutely crazy, there's no reason that we'd be back in here asking for those changes. So.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for me? It was quite a soliloquy.
Also? Sure.
Waste Management union company?
Some portions of Waste Management are unionized. our Cohasset location, our Duluth location. I'll just pick on my northern areas, Bemidji, Baxter, Ashland, none of those are unionized. Good question.
Cans, right, there'd be 2 cans, one for garbage, one for recycling?
Correct.
What can go in them cans? The recycling can?
The recycling can. That's gonna be your plastic, clean, dry, plastic containers 1 through 5, cardboard, even like the paperboard, etc. You've got office paper, glass. I shouldn't be saying this off the top of my head. Cans, yeah, flattened cardboard and paperboard, food and beverage containers, so like those aseptic containers. You get like the milk cartons, not the plastic jugs. The cartons are recyclable as long as they are dry and clean. Yeah, it's a big one.
Styrofoam.
Styrofoam is not
That's
recyclable
what I
at all.
thought. That's what you said last time.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure.
What happens when we have a bunch of people put the wrong stuff in the cans?
Good
What's gonna
question.
happen?
Okay, so if our driver sees it before the cart is dumped, I will say it that way right away. If the driver sees it before the cart is dumped, usually the driver will double check that cart just to make sure, are we okay? Can we dump it, or is this really over the top? If it is over the top, we do have cart tags. We leave some instructional material for the resident. We hang it on the cart and we do not dump it. So they will actually have to go through the cycling, resort it back out, make it a better product, and then we can come through and go ahead and dump that. So we still want to get it serviced, but we don't want to contaminate the whole truck with trash and have somebody else have to pull it out on the back end. After so many attempts, believe me, we'll go ahead, we'll be alerting Ryan and saying, hey, this household needs a little extra TLC.
That only seems fair.
Yeah,
Then it becomes our.
right, we have to have that communication, because we're not gonna just cut somebody off, but we do wanna provide that feedback to the resident ASAP.
Right now, we're paying $12.25 for garbage only. And on our utility bills, we have a $5.50 solid waste fee and a $1.19 solid waste, looks like a management tax. Now, is this expense, the $6.69, is this covering our recycling now, what the city of Buhl is getting charged for the way we're recycling now? Is that what this is? Ryan,
That comes from the
or is this landfill charges from the county?
Correct.
And this,
Okay, so it's not from,
It's a cost of replacement for they cost so much money now to have the dump sites that they're building up for the next pod or whatever you want to call it.
so how are we getting charged now for recycling?
Your recycling currently is as a no-charge service from Waste Management, because we have the curbside residential trash contract. When that was initially written, recycling, as long as it was done properly, was subsidizing the cost of hauling it. So processing those materials and selling them to end markets was offsetting any cost of providing the dumpsters and the service. Removing that dump site first is a really good thing. We talked about the contamination we're getting in there, so we don't want that to begin with. But the second piece of that is with moving to curbside and the subsidy no longer being there, you can't offset the costs anymore of actually providing the service by selling the end markets. Cardboard's gone from like $1 or $120 a ton to like 10. And paper used to be like $80 a ton, and now you're paying $5 to $10 a ton just to get rid of paper. So those incomes to offset are gone. Does that make sense?
I guess so.
Okay. I want to make sure I don't confuse.
I don't know your business.
that's not on us, so, yeah, I mean, that's out of our control, I should say.
Right.
So in other words, what you're saying is if we stay where we're at and just doing what we're doing, we're gonna get an increase by doing this too?
If you stay where you're at and doing what you're doing, it's my personal request, we get rid of the drop site. Because as of right now, it is not good recycling that's coming in there.
And just a note on that, that's kind of how this whole discussion came about, that the city was getting charged for contamination, in the thousands of.
Yeah, it costs us.
Well, I don't personally see how this changes, because the people that are putting stuff up there that shouldn't be there, they're gonna be putting them in their container anyway, and that truck's gonna come with an arm and dump it. And that driver isn't gonna know what's in there as long as the lid is on and it's not sticking up so where you can see in the can,
It's
correct?
Yes and no. First of all, the responsibility goes back on that direct resident. Even the last council meeting that we were here, or that I was here, it was even public comment at that point that the drop site that's there, most of the Buhl residents aren't even using that. That's coming from people outside of town coming and illegally dumping in your dumpsters. If that's gone, that then takes that away from them as such an easy dump spot.
Well, I'm just looking at human nature. People are gonna
Right.
throw stuff in there that, you know, whether you live in Buhl or you don't live in Buhl, you know, people coming in here illegally throwing stuff in here.
Right.
But I would think that it's just human nature. If you're gonna get rid of something, you're gonna throw it in, you possibly throw it in there and see if, well, I think this is recycling.
It's an honor system.
Right.
Well, everything always is. so.
It's very much more of an honor system. We do have to trust that people are putting the proper material in the cart. That's why, I mean, even, and I won't even say once the cart's dumped, it's done. There are hopper cameras in those trucks. Those drivers dumping can watch exactly what's falling out of those carts. It sits in the hopper and they can see the contents.
Oh, there is.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're not gonna hop out of the truck and shut your whole truck down, do the lockout, tag out and go in and fish out all the bags that don't belong and go in the compactor mid-route. You're not gonna do that. But now you have an address that you're like, this person did not recycle properly. That goes back to Randy, comes to me, goes to Ryan.
So then, these recycling trucks aren't, they're not the garbage trucks. These trucks are different than the garbage trucks.
They will run completely different routes. Most of the time, a recycling truck is a recycling truck. A garbage
Okay.
truck is a garbage truck.
Just for the last thing, in your write-up here, Ryan, I'm just looking, it says residential rate with both for waste management is $19 a customer, correct?
Those would be estimates on what we
Yep.
would have to charge.
And then what's the 2084 additional charges? What, you see that a little bit further down?
Well, that number came from, that $2,084 was what the city got fined or charged for the contamination.
Okay, so that's separate, okay.
That's if we were to pass that cost back to the residents.
Because we're really getting the recycling for about $2,340 a month, I think. You know, the difference between the recycling and just the garbage only.
Yeah.
I think that, okay. That's the only questions I have. Anyone else? If not, thank you.
All right, thanks everyone, appreciate it.
Okay, next. Chris, right?
Yes,
Okay. And we had an update from Ryan
yes.
prior to the meeting tonight, so if everybody just wants to look at.
Yeah, what you emailed me, I just put on in front of their place if you just want to update them on what the changes were. Do you need a copy?
Nope, I got one. I highlighted the changes, just for your guys' convenience and quick scanning.
If there's anything you care to add or say, and once again, we'll have lots more questions.
Yeah,
It's the
no, of
second
course.
time we've asked both of you questions. so.
Of course. First, I want to say that Waste Management is a Class Act company. I mean, you know, they're nationwide and they are a good company. I think that Buhl is small enough to not have to have, you know, everything serviced by the big trucks and high quality containers for both recycling and garbage for a couple reasons. Number one, when you're dealing with this stuff by hand, you are able to put the containers out of the way so plows won't hit them. It's not as rough on the containers. You don't have the truck, you know, picking them up, dumping them, and putting them down on the ground. They're hand dealt with, so it's a little gentler. Also, I've been in the recycling for well over a decade now, and I dealt with the city of Hibbing and a couple of different, when they had different containers, one for recycling, one for core, and you know, it is really hard to control, and it will be something that when you're dealing with it, you know, the driver has to talk to their their dispatcher, their dispatcher's gonna have to get a hold of Ryan, and, next thing you know, you got 4 people involved, 4 or 5 people involved for somebody throwing a bag in the wrong container. When you pick it up at curbside, you have the ability to just throw in the garbage, and if it's an issue, we can leave a note, in the container, and we can deal with it ourselves. We don't need to get you guys involved. It would just be a simple, super process to just handle it ourselves. So the only thing that I would, glass in unsecured glass, either in a container or unbagged glass, I should say, can be an issue in the alleys and all over. And so I would just like the council to consider possible glass collection somewhere else, just so if it's not in a garbage bag secured, it's not in the alleys. It's not a big deal. It's just that it can break, it can make a mess. When it's in a bag, it's not going to typically get broken, but out of a bag, even in a container, it can get broken and get in an alley.
So why wouldn't the customer put the glass in your recycling bin?
Well, you can't, and I'm sure with waste management's, you can't bag the stuff. You don't bag it. You don't put it in a bag. And I'm just saying that you open yourself up to broken glass when you're dealing with glass that isn't bagged. Is it more secured? So it's just a consideration of the council to keep the one green recycling container and give the people an option to just recycle glass in a secured location. Not a big deal, just an option.
You would provide that with no extra cost, or if we had a bin in that, or what?
Well, you have the county recycling bin already. I don't know if that would be sufficient or.
Well, who picks that up?
Well, I do. Yeah, I already pick that up, so, yeah.
We'd have to experiment with that.
Yeah, the county pays for that. That's a county service.
Okay.
The county pays for that. For whatever it's worth. I looked at the landfill fees. I just increased a little bit for the landfill increases. I didn't consider that in my original proposal. I used the 2009 number for landfill fees, but it was an oversight, so I put in a couple $100 extra for that. I gave you a breakdown of how I did that, how I calculated it. And we added in the 90-day rate to terminate, which I think is fantastic for both parties, always. It should always just be a well-worked partnership. If it's not, then it is better to, split ways. And that's about it.
Questions?
How does this work with a 90-day cancellation thing if something didn't work out? Let's say we went with you. Now, our only other option is waste management. What if they say, well, no, you went with them. We're booked up. We picked up another town over here. Now we don't have service. Is that a possibility of that ever happening?
Our city clerk has to be a good negotiator. That's what falls on.
I don't think they'd turn down the business, but the price might not be.
There's always a what if. What happens if things like that happen? Well, they would be negotiated.
I'm trying to throw anything I possibly can out.
Yeah.
Well, it would be better to address waste management as we're considering of getting rid of NIS. What do you think? What can you do? Just don't tell them that though.
That's a good question.
I have a couple questions. So are you a union company?
I am. I'm same as waste management, part union, part not union. And I'm also a DBE owner, so I don't know what that matters.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I don't either. What is that?
It's a woman-owned business.
Oh, okay.
The cans. In yours, would it be, would you have 2 cans or more than 2 cans?
I would go more like the city of Virginia does. I would have 1 can for the garbage, a typical garbage can, and then have more like a tote for recycling. The city of, and like, I don't know if you're familiar with the city of Virginia, but they have a tote. They have weekly service, and they have all they need is a tote, and they have like a brown paper bag with the paper in it, and a brown paper bag with the plastics in it, and the guy's just in a couple of things of cardboard flattened up. Because the advantage, the really true advantage is collecting it on a weekly basis. You're really talking about a low volume per house per week. And that's what makes it so manageable. And if you've ever been around the city of Virginia, as sad as it is, probably only 2-3 houses on every block choose to recycle. It's very minimal. I actually anticipate it'll be the same attitude around here. I just don't think it's going to be that high of volume. Storing recyclables for a month can stink. People who do recycle a lot may not have enough room for a month. And picking it up weekly may encourage people to recycle a little bit more. It may be easier. You don't have to have extra overflow or that kind of stuff, so
you'd have a couple different totes and you could put all the same materials.
yeah, you just put it all in the same tote and it's actually hand sorted on site. The city of Virginia does it. They do. That's how they do all theirs.
Does Jenny have that? Does Jenny have that where she lives, do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. How do we take, and I should have asked the waste manager, what do we do, how do we take care of the businesses in town, the few businesses that we have?
Well, I think that they have the bigger ones.
Okay, and there's one for recycling and one for...
I think that their recycling would probably be along the line of the same, a different, I just think it's a bad idea to make the containers look the same. So it depends on their volume and what they choose. Cardboard, businesses really don't recycle a lot more than cardboard. I mean, they may have a brown paper bag of office paper, maybe a few cans, but
There's a ton of bottles.
Plastic bottles?
No, glass bottles.
Oh, glass. Well, like I said, that's something that the council can consider if you want to handle how you want to handle glass. But,
So there's one dumpster per business, correct?
yes. And we can dump it on, so I see a lot of the places have 2 dumpsters, 2 or 3 dumpsters for higher volume. Mm-hmm. We can dump it twice a week then instead of once a week when we're in town and save that room and the cost of that kind of stuff. So.
Are you capable of dumping or taking those big cardboard or big business containers, pick them up and put them in the truck, or?
Yeah, so instead of having 4 there because they only get dumped once a week, you can have 2 there and dump them twice a week. You can save that way, save space, it's fresher, it doesn't stink as bad, stuff like that.
Well, we're talking about the big bins, right?
Yes.
Okay.
How many yards are those? Do you know?
Typically 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So, I'm in the bar business. We half fill that dumpster, we probably almost fill that dumpster with bottles.
Yeah, trust me, being in the recycling at the county, I know how that is.
So I have to know how that's gonna work for the establishments in town.
As far as the bars?
Yeah.
That's high volume, that's really high volume. And that is something where, boy, even the county facility doesn't allow you to bring them there anymore. Bottles in boxes.
Well, usually they're dumped out. They're all just beer bottles and wine bottles and...
Into the glass container?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really truly believe that's still the best way to handle it.
Keep that the same.
I really do believe that keeping glass in one location is the best.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we have this on the agenda to take action.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just, obviously, like I mentioned, the main reason why we started this whole conversation is because the contamination, and with the main goal of getting rid of those bins and hopefully providing an additional service to our residents at a, hopefully a reasonable cost. If you run the numbers, basically with the idea that we want curbside recycling for our residents. I mean, the difference between, and I just want to say, I mean, we haven't had any problems with waste management. I mean, we've had a good working relationship. It has nothing to do with that. But, I mean, the difference in the two proposals is $23,748.
Including the latest new number that we got on the. Okay.
Yes.
Because it was over, yeah, I know, one time we talked.
Yep. With both entities providing that curbside service.
Okay. So if you're comparing costs,
Yeah.
it's a.
Well, we're forced into curbside because
1 year.
our recycling now is going away, correct?
A lot of it depends on what this council decides. Currently, that drop site is part of your municipal agreement that expires at the end of this year.
So basically, if we did go with you, we're not losing anything as far as service that Waste Management was giving us, but we're saving 20 grand.
Well, you're not really, it's just that I'm including the curbside recycling in the way that, and that's the thing, the way that they want to do curbside recycling, it's just as expensive as doing the garbage all over again. So it's like they're, you know, doubling their costs or whatever. I'm saying that we can do it at the same time, and if we do it with labor, you know, at the same time, it really does, if you're running that truck down that alley and you have the thing behind it for the recycling, it really doesn't take that much more time to pick the garbage up and put it in the thing, and then to pick the recycling up and put it in the back. So you really, it is a time with the size of Buhl, it really is cost effective, tremendously cost effective. And, you know.
So then you're hand dumping these containers then?
Yeah, these will be hand dumped. Yeah.
Are you running 2 guys on the truck?
Probably 3, 2 to 3. I want 3, but you know how it is with labor, you know, and that's why I split the day. Another reason why I split the days, because if you have a guy who doesn't show up, then it's going to be a little slower. So, and that's how you know, monitor what goes in the containers. How you leave the note, you know, that kind of stuff.
Ryan, how many businesses we have that have the big containers right now, do you know? Offhand?
Roughly 10.
10. And we'll still maintain that well.
Yeah, and I believe the idea was, you know, the city would provide the same thing with now if a business wanted extra or a resident wanted extra, they could.
You can purchase.
They could do that on their own. I mean, the city doesn't want to get into 15 different plans for households and businesses around. It would be a nightmare.
I gotta be careful how I ask questions here. Okay. And we will no longer have the city recycling up at the school? That's gone.
That would, the cardboard bins and
the glass.
The plastic.
Just glass would be up there, right?
The glass would have to be a decision
Where
the council has to make. I mean, obviously, if we get someone in the school, they're probably not gonna want that, you know, whether it's lease or purchase on their property.
What would be the cost of city for glass only? We have to purchase that service, right?
I'd have to look into what those numbers would be.
But you're talking about a business though.
Yeah.
I mean, a resident, I mean, you'd still be picking up glass from a resident, correct?
Yes.
I mean, either way.
Well, they can dump it in that bin or they can put it in their recycling, yeah.
Okay.
Is that correct though, Christine?
Yeah. My recommendation is to not have glass in the alleys. Okay, that's just my recommendation for safety. But yes, it can go in the containers, it would go in with the plastics, just like everything else.
It's gonna be pretty hard to tell the residents not to do that.
I mean, ideally, I'd like to, councils, but try it without any of those big bins in town and maybe do some educational flyers, newsletters to the residents and try it, how effective that would be.
You throw me a curve when you say no big bins in town. What does that mean?
The ones that are up at the school.
Okay.
It means
You gotta clarify.
Yeah.
The big dumpsters or whatever you want to call them.
Well, I mean, the businesses all have big dumpsters.
Yeah, we all have 6-yard, big reed, big.
Yeah, the ones we're getting charged, the city's getting charged on for contamination.
Right now, Waste Management comes in Monday and picks up people. They come in Wednesdays and do the bins, usually cardboard for sure. But they might even do the garbage on Monday too, I'm not sure.
I think that's right, I don't have the routing schedule on me right now.
I think they do. Because like Buhl Water has a recycling bin because they have a lot of plastics that they throw in there, and then they have the cardboard, and then they have their garbage.
Okay. Oh, we gotta make a decision here. I would entertain a motion to approve one of the companies if somebody wants to be so bold. Right, jump in.
I'll make a motion that we go with NIS for garbage.
Motion by Stewart, is there support?
I'll support that.
And supported, okay. Further comment or discussion? We have people here to still ask questions to them. If we need a legal opinion, we can even ask the attorney.
Kind of driven by the dollars, the way I see it.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it too right now, so.
I mean, we just dropped our rates for water and sewer because we're gonna do some projects, and
That was $20 a year, or
I know, but-
$20 a month.
to come back with them and say we can save you some money, that might be a shocker. I don't know.
Further comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign, motion carried. Thank you, thank you.
We'll be in
Okay,
touch.
we'll move on to the next one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 7B, access broadband, discussion, approve or reject. Brian, you just wanna introduce and we'll go from there.
From the last council meeting, I expressed to the council that the city was having issues with their internet service, and the council authorized me to inform Access that we would be charging them for the use of our property. I received a call from Ben that he would like to address the council, so that's where we are.
Welcome to the council.
Thank you for having me. My name is Benjamin Baldwin. I represent Access Broadband and Communications based in Virginia, Minnesota. We're small, locally owned and operated internet service provider for surrounding areas. Since 2001, we've occupied space on the Buhl Water Tower in effort to offer an affordable internet alternative to folks that have few other choices available to them. When we initially installed our equipment on the water tower, we entered an agreement with the city of Buhl, which stated that we would be allowed to occupy the space free of charge as long as we agreed to provide internet at no cost to the Buhl City Hall. Within 2 years of the initial agreement, we added the Buhl Fire Hall to the mix at no charge as well. No legal contracts were put in place at that point. However, the friendly trade-out agreement has worked very well for Access Broadband and the city of Buhl for nearly 18 years now. On Thursday, July 11th, we received a letter in the mail from the city clerk, Ryan Pervenancy, dated July 8th, 2019. It states, "To whom it may concern, at our last city council meeting on June 18th, the city council authorized me to inform Access Broadband that the city will begin charging for use of your equipment on our water tower. Over the past 6 months, the internet service at our locations in town has been very poor and unreliable. City employees have contacted your representative on numerous occasions, and yet problems still persist. The city council approved an annual rate of $3,600 plus applicable usage rates. Rates will also increase 3% per year. Please respond by August 1st, 2019 if you are agreeable to these terms. If you are not in agreement, please schedule a time with City Hall to remove your equipment from our property. Sincerely, City of Buhl, represented by Ryan Pervenancy." We at Access Broadband and Communications have read and discussed this letter. We understand and agree that the City of Buhl has the right to charge for the space and go whichever direction they wish to provide their properties with internet. We would like to remind the city, however, that this has been a symbiotic relationship beneficial for both parties. Since no negotiation was offered, Access Broadband and Communications are prepared to accept the annual rate of $3,600 per year plus applicable usage rates. Unfortunately, this would end our friendly trade-out agreement with the City of Buhl, and they would be responsible for their now 5 connections from Access Broadband and Communications until their new connections can be secured. City of Buhl currently has a $150 per month connection here at City Hall. Also, it must be considered that there are $90 per month packages located at the Fire Hall, Ambulance, City Garage, and Senior Center. All of these connections are currently provided free of charge to the City of Buhl in honor of our long-standing trade-out agreement. When contacted by the City of Buhl with any issue, it is our policy to have a crew on site the same day. Our records indicate that we've been contacted a total of 9 times from the City of Buhl with issues on their property since the first of this year. 2 of those service calls came in early February where we replaced equipment at the ambulance building, then the next day at the fire hall. Once repaired, the employees reported being very pleased with speed and consistency at both locations. The City Garage and the Senior Center have not reported any issues this year, and all indications show that they are both working properly. The only discrepancy with their service came at City Hall in late February after an independent third party changed the internal network and added some pieces of equipment. After the new equipment was implemented, we have been contacted 7 times by City Hall. At the time of the first incident, we had technicians on site the same day and found the new third-party equipment installed. Our technicians plugged directly to the endpoint of our service and showed Mr. Privenancy that our equipment was running properly. We informed him that the issue stemmed from the new third-party equipment at that time. And we also went so far as to leave a business card with him that contained our personal cell phone numbers so that the third party could contact us, or Ryan could contact us when the third party was there. Let's see here. Each of the next 6 times we arrived, we found our equipment functioning properly. However, when plugged into the third party equipment, we experienced problems as well. We still maintain that the service runs exactly as we expect it to at City Hall, and that the issues with the internal networking cannot be rectified until both parties can collaborate and troubleshoot the network together. We have never received a call from the third-party technician, nor Mr. Privenancy, while the third-party technician was on site. We still offer our services to make City Hall's internet work properly, but we have not been offered permission to log on to the third-party equipment to take care of it ourselves, and it is against our policy to hack into other parties' equipment. Regardless of the service issues, we're a little disappointed by the statement that we can schedule a time to remove our equipment from your property. We've always been under the impression that small-town Minnesota, i.e. the City of Buhl, was supportive of small local businesses like ours, and that we were a welcome alternative to big company service providers. Maybe this is not the case, but we have 41 customers in Buhl city limits that may not appreciate us simply removing our equipment from your tower. In any case, we at Access Broadband and Communications are prepared to respectfully accept whatever decision is made by the City Council and are prepared to do so immediately. However, moving forward, it is imperative that we have a legally binding contract to be implemented with whatever financial values are decided. This contract will be submitted to the City of Buhl no later than August 1st, 2019 for review. And that's really all I have. Any questions?
Some of the problems, Ben, is we want to expand our service here, and you can't do it.
In what capacity?
Well, we want to, we've got to have a direct line for, if we were talking about putting security cameras around town,
Sure.
and your service won't do that.
In what way?
Well,
We won't maintain your equipment as far as that goes. That would be your equipment, but we'd be willing to entertain helping you install and all that sort of thing as far as that went. Speeds and capacities are in town. It's not a problem for the internet portion of it as far as that goes. It's never been brought up to us in any form or fashion.
From what I understand, we need a direct line to receive that data from these cameras.
So you'll need a piece of equipment at wherever you want the camera, and then you'll need a piece of equipment like on the water tower to directly speak to those units.
We haven't.
That's the way they're doing it in Virginia right at the moment here.
Yeah, we're looking
And
at.
we did put up theirs and take it down when they were.
We're looking at the system that the new shortstop has.
Sure.
You want looking at.
Well, the new shortstop has us for internet, by the way. The new shortstop has us for their internet service provider.
Okay.
I have a question. This third-party equipment, can I ask Ryan?
Oh, absolutely.
What-
The
what's
third
that?
party is the St. Louis County Sheriffs and IT people from St. Louis County.
Okay.
Well, what is the problem that, like, Access and St. Louis County can't get together on this to alleviate what problems you're having?
I don't believe that's the problem. I mean, Diane and I have dealt with this for the past 6 months where our phone calls will cut out with residents. We've called them back on personal cell phones. We've had the internet down for how long, and that's how our phones run. And Meds One across the street has continually asked if there's anything the city can do.
See, I'm concerned about Meds One because that's where seconds mean something. That's my concern as on this council. So we're not.
Well, with these problems that you've been having, then have you reached out to Access to?
6 times this year, yes. 7 times this year. My apologies.
Yeah, I believe it's how many times, and both Diane and I, on occasion, people will come over. On occasion, we don't have calls returned back. We need to be efficient and productive, and a resident needs to get a hold of us. We better be there to answer the phone. It's plain and simple.
You have a proposal for us? You'll have one by August 1st, correct?
It's just a contract with.
Well, I mean a contract, but
whatever
the
numbers
thing
you
is,
come up with.
I think you're hearing, Meds One has told us that here's some issues we're having, problems with the internet, whatever.
Is Meds One the ambulance service? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the drop call. I mean, that's important. I mean, I'd like to know what that issue is, and if the equipment from the sheriffs is getting in the way, I want to know that. If I can get efficient internet service and camera service down the road is what we're looking at, I'd like to know that. But I think in a contract that we have with you, we have to have guarantees that this can happen. And plus I'd want to get a quote from you on what everything's going to cost too. So, where I'm coming from, Ryan, is that because we reach out to get some quotes, and maybe we can extend that a little bit longer just to look and see, but this got to get fixed in this building and that building there. I mean, it's our lifeblood. And I'm not blaming you, and I'm not blaming the third party bill, but something's not kosher somewhere. And we've got to get to the bottom of that and get the best service we can. I appreciate that you are providing for the 41 households and for the one business in town. I think that's great.
We've got several businesses in town. Irregardless.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to frame here right now, is that maybe I want to see if can we bypass that equipment that's here that the sheriff has?
I can plug into it with a laptop right here and now and show you what you're getting, and it's what we advertise.
No, but the thing is, I just don't want this drop. I've got, we'd have to see how this would work, and then we'd probably want a 90-day out.
We feel absolutely confident that if we can collaborate with whoever it is, the sheriff department or whatever, that we can fix this network in this building.
I guess I just, if it could work, fine. If it does, but I mean, there's options there. We asked for a bid from somebody. Can they provide camera service for us? Ryan?
Yes, I mean,
they could if they had to. Okay. I think we should sit back on this a little bit, get your contract proposal. We'll go out and just double check with a couple more about what's that. But then we've got to before I want to make a decision, I want to make sure that you're talking with the sheriff's talking, or whoever it is, whoever the IT provider is for them,
right.
and see if that is a problem, and if it's not, if it's on your end, then thank you for everything. If it's not, then we've got to look and see if it's on internally our end.
Right.
Then we've got to rectify that and go with the best price for the best service to benefit our citizens and ourselves. So
absolutely.
That's kind of where I'm at, council, on this. So,
well, one more thing. when have these issues, Ryan, started? When the third party, the sheriffs or whatever, started utilizing their equipment with access?
No, but before and after, I mean,
You've been here a long time.
when the service works, it's fine, we can do what we need to do, but I mean, daily, the internet will flash out and we'll lose a call. I don't think that's doing our residents justice.
No, it isn't. No, if you have a service, you want it to work. Everybody wants everything to work 100% all the
Just
time.
hanging up on those people, that's all.
Yeah.
Trust me, I got accused of it, and I waited a half hour before we
Well, we're
could.
looking for consistency in service. I mean, and I'm not blaming anybody at this point, but we're gonna work it back, and we're gonna get quotes from everybody, then we're gonna go with the most responsible, best cost, best provider for the city. So I think that's where I'd like to go tonight, Ryan. I know, that we'll have to shorten this little thing up until August, probably talk about this first meeting in August, but. Go ahead, Slim.
What kind of speed do you deliver to us now?
At this location, it should be 20 megabits download, 10 megabits upload.
It's not even close.
No?
No,
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what we have to,
it's like 2 and 5.
Now, that's what I can show you. If we plug in our equipment, we'll get that. Absolutely, we have every time. We plug that into the sheriff's department managed switch, and it's a totally different story.
Where are you reading it?
Well, on our computers, on Diana's. But ultimately, I mean, we can have the best speed in the world, but if it's still cutting out and dropping our phone calls.
We have to work
What
on it.
causes that?
Oh, myriads of different things can cause that.
Well, I mean, you're talking about airwave and a landline.
Any sort of an interruption in your internet's going to cause a droppage as far as that goes. Okay, now that can come from interference, that can come from equipment failing, that can come from improperly programmed equipment, that could come from somebody plugging a cable from this switch back into that switch, creating a loop that totally destroys everything. There's a million things that it could be.
And a landline is that
Landline's pretty
complicated?
direct as far as it's only dedicated for telephone. There's no other, but I would say that if you would plug the telephone into itself, it probably wouldn't work.
I'm just wondering where the problem is. If you're saying you can deliver 20 and you're not, and then this other company says they can do that too.
Well, I'm saying we are. Absolutely.
Well,
we
you are. You say you are, but on Diana's computer, she can track that, right?
Yeah.
And we're
Well,
not.
Diana's computer, she runs a speed test. It also includes everybody else's usage in that building to get to that final number, and there's a good possibility it could be running at 20 megabits, and there's just other things going on. So she gets whatever's left, essentially.
we don't have a lot.
That's the danger.
There's 2 people in
That's
the
the
building.
danger in speed testing as far as that goes. If you have everybody off the network and you're the only person there, then you're going to get an accurate number. But if there's other things involved, anybody's doing anything else, there's other traffic going on that subtracts from that number.
Well, we can easily test that. He shut his computer off and
Get a reading, yeah.
get reading.
I,
I'll make a motion that, let's go for a proposal from the outfits that we're looking at, including Ben, and see who comes up with the numbers and,
And we're absolutely not against spending the $3,600 annually. That's not a problem. That's not unreasonable as far as that goes. That's a fair number to go with. I don't see how it would make sense if we're going to start charging you for other connections. Now, when those connections go away, that makes sense. Up until then, I'm not sure.
I'm gonna support that motion, but I wanna put a little caveat in there. It's that, I would like, Ryan, if you could set up for somebody from IT, from the sheriffs to be here, and if you sent a tech over, and they tear that thing apart and find out what's kicking what out here. Because, that's, right now, we have these issues, and we wanna give you the benefit of the doubt, because you're saying it's happening here. And if something else is interfering, so be it, then we have to correct that. But if not, then that's just part of our decision making, so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And understood.
Any other comments from anyone?
Can you increase the 20 or is 20 is max?
We're actually limited a bit by our core bandwidth, okay, what we actually get provided, but we're looking at increasing that by 5 times right at this moment in time, so, and that's going to happen fairly soon, within the next few months. That's going to upgrade everybody's packages considerably without changing the price in any way.
You say 5 times or 5?
Our core will be at 5 times. So a standard residential package, a $50 package per month is 5 megabits download, 2 megabits upload. We would increase that to more like 15 and 8.
Okay.
Upwards of 20 and 10 for just the residential customers. Of course, businesses are at least double that.
Answer your question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we're not happy with our service now, so.
Sure,
Okay.
that's understood, but we're happy to help.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carried. So that's where we'll head with that. We won't quite come to a decision tonight, but we should have them within a month, I'd say. Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
See, finance manager phone reimbursement, and that's in your agenda. That's for Diana, for those drop calls of having to use her own phone, so, is there a motion to approve that billing?
I'll make a motion.
Is there support?
Support.
I think that's
Yeah.
very appropriate, and I have a concern, you know, but I tried to be realistic here, and so that's where I'm coming from, and they've got to prove themselves to me. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Minnesota Energy Agreement. Ryan, just want to highlight about that, reading the meters, so the public will know. And
Basically, Minnesota Energy is gonna install an AMI, some type of AMI system where they can essentially automatically read their gas meters in town. They've sent out sample contracts to the cities. I forwarded the contract for Attorney Carney to review, and basically they're just looking for an approval to fix their device on one of our light poles, and then from talking to them, cities have been charging them $10 to $20 monthly per rent, plus, the applicable electric usage.
And this is one power pole.
It'll be one power pole in town.
Oh, yeah? Read all the meters?
And it reads all the meters?
Don't ask me how.
Hopefully it won't be causing any interference on the broadband.
Well, you just had to bring that up, didn't you?
I mean, hopefully this results in lower rates for the city and the residents, so.
Sure.
Well, just,
And the
where
big income, $20 a month.
where the civil defense siren is, that's kind of pretty much the middle of the town. I'm just suggesting
Well,
that.
they've studied, I'm sure, so,
Well, yeah.
They know where they can do it.
yeah. Seemed like it wasn't too far from where, it's up on the highway there somewhere.
Well, there's another company wanted to go on a
Okay.
pole in a corner and maybe one right over here.
Okay.
But I don't.
I didn't check, do we have a motion on this yet?
No, just please include in your motion to say the $20 per
Yeah,
month.
and for a fee of $20 per month?
Yeah.
Per customer?
Per
No,
pole?
No,
just-
it's for
yeah,
us,
for us.
$20 that we get,
And then power.
Okay,
and then a reading for the power.
so yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Stuart, is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Jim. Further comment or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Cemetery rates. John, can I ask one favor of you? Could you work off the sheet, I know you've given us one, but on the fee schedule for Lakeview Cemetery that we have in our packet, so I can come right from the top with your recommendations, and we can discuss each one as we go along. I'm not gonna entertain a motion for anything yet. I would like John to discuss this so we have our conversation.
Well, at the cemetery, if a resident purchases a lot, it's $200. If it's a non-resident, it's $400. Burial fees, Buhl resident is $300. A non-resident is $500. Well, if we bury somebody And when you bury somebody, you need a backhoe and you need the loader, you need 2 guys. A lot of times you need the pads.
A casket burial.
Yeah, right, the burial. Basically, we're charging, say it's a resident, $300 for that service. So with 2 people, this is just during the weekday, it's costing the city $240 to provide that service. So the revenue for the cemetery is $60. On a weekend, we're just using a resident, so you have $300 to bury somebody on a resident in town, and on the weekend they add $300. So basically what's happening is the city's charging a burial service for $600, and that's 2 people, 4 hours, with at time and a half is basically 12 hours pay at say $30 an hour is $360. So the revenue for the Buhl Cemetery is $240 on a weekend, to do that. Right now, burial fees for a resident is $300, a non-resident is $500. I guess what I'm saying is the 300 and the 500, I would just go with, we're already charging a difference on a resident and a non-resident for a cemetery site. The burial fees, I don't know why there would be a difference. I'm suggesting it would be 400 and 400, which would, so on a weekend, the revenue for the cemetery would be $340. If we increase it $100 for both a resident and a non-resident, because they're already paying a difference on when they buy a site. A resident is $200, non-resident is $400. So basically that's my thought. On a cremation...
Wait, John, before you go any further, I'm gonna interject because I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't have a problem with the 300 going to 400. I think I can support that. But I'm not gonna drop the non-Buhl resident down to $400. We have taxpayers here that pay for taxes into the city to help support that on the side and everything. I think a non-Buhl resident should stay at 500. But I have no problem with raising the resident to 400. Okay, so I just want to let you know that, so I'm going to throw that proposal out there. But now, John, now if you want to go to the cremains burial, is that where you're headed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
go ahead.
Just want to kind of show you, I mean, when you do a burial, you got the backhoe, like I said, the loader, the pads. Sometime, well, we won't go into the winter time, but anyhow, the cemetery generates $60. Okay, if you go into cremation, which is the same price for resident and non-resident, on a cremation it's $200, for a resident and $400 for if you're buying a site. Basically, on a cremation during the week, a resident's getting charged $150, which is for everybody. So basically, it takes one person to dig a hole and provide the services needed for that cremation. So at $30 an hour, basically it's 2 hours. So the city revenue generates about $90 during a week for somebody to be cremated. You have one person.
What's the regulations on how deep does it? What are the?
Well, it's probably about 1 foot by 20 inches,
How deep
22
do you have to?
inches.
That's okay. Yeah, so that's one person can handle.
One person. It's done with a shovel and a bar if you need it. On a weekend, we charge, the $150, and then we charge $225 to provide that service to dig that hole. And now it's still just the one person. So you got one person with a total of 4 hours at $30 an hour, so it's $120. You generate $255 for revenue for the city of Buhl and a cemetery. When you, $255. When you dig it with the backhoe and the loader, you're generating $240.
Well,
So-
maybe we need to up the price we're using the equipment down there for a
Well,
casket.
that's what I
burial.
said. That's what I'm saying, at least go to the 400.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Okay,
you
so
went
John, you
from-
have a recommendation then for the cremains of combining a couple of these things, because that does seem rather high. I'll go along with that a little bit, on that they're getting the Saturday 225 plus the 150, that's a 375. Do you have a recommendation what you think it should be?
Well, just
You've given us the
consensus
cost,
is,
so-
I would suggest, on the weekend, it's $150 more, so you're generating it costs on a weekend for cremation to be $300. Your labor is $120, so you generate $180 for the cemetery, revenue. Instead, right now, we generate $130.
So what number do you want to change on there? Do you want to change the add-on, the
Well, the weekend
225
rate is
Saturday?
$225.
Yeah, what do you want to drop that to?
Well, 100 or 150.
Make a recommendation to us right now.
Well, cremation is, 99% of the time it's dug on a Friday. So Saturday, when they come in, they charge the 2 hours call in and then basically get paid for 3 hours. So that's $90. And we're charging $225.
So you drop it 100 to 100 and a quarter, and then it's 100, so it's 275 total?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. I just gotta write that on my, okay, so what'd I say, 125 and 150. Now winter rates, that's separate, we're not gonna touch that, right?
Well,
Winter rates are
winter
winter
rates,
rates.
it depends on, because a lot of times you have to go out there with the snow blower or shovel for the site so people can stand there and do.
Right, yeah,
do
it's a little bit more
So there's a little bit
involved.
more involved.
Okay,
And then usually, we really don't add anything onto there unless we have a frost on the ground and we have some snow. A lot of towns go by October 1st or whatever, we go by the weather.
Didn't we do this a couple of years ago, John?
Yeah,
2018, January 1st, yeah.
Now we're gonna increase.
well, we changed these rates, but the weekend rate, I think we just left them and didn't
Then I
pay
looked
attention
at,
to 'em.
we're pretty reasonable compared to everybody around us.
Yeah, I looked at
Realizing
that,
Mountain
too.
Iron doesn't provide a cemetery. We have Chisholm's, Eveleth's, Gilbert's, and Aurora's, and then you have the two big anchors on each side of us, Hibbing and Virginia, so we don't care about them as much. Keewatin does not have a cemetery. So I'm just looking at that, and there's one other one I think we should look at, John, and that's exhumation, only $600. Crap, I looked at, it's $1,200 over in Chisholm maybe, and
Well, you don't have to
Eveleth.
buy Chisholm, their rates are,
Yeah, but I think we could jump that a couple $100 too.
Which one?
Exhumation, the very last one.
oh, well, yeah, it'll take you a long time to dig up a casket. Because you gotta be careful, you gotta go do a lot of hand digging, you need the backhoe, you have the loader. Yeah, $600 is not even,
So let's just temporarily run that to 800. But I'm agreeing with everything except I want to keep the non-Buhl resident at 500. That's only fair to our taxpayers.
Yeah. Well, then the other thing here too, on the cremains, now if you have a stone with the cremains above ground, that charge isn't applied, because there's no hole to be dug, correct?
yeah, but
Is that legal?
we need,
know.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we have the monuments.
Yeah, the mine, they come like that.
We still have to register the 150. Sooner or later, the guys in town are gonna have to, I'll show them how to do what they gotta do to put the cremains in that block.
But isn't, when you buy a stone from somebody, don't they do that? Is that
Yeah.
one of their services?
Well,
Or
yeah.
you're doing
Well,
it?
I'm doing that, but sooner or later, I'm gonna show Trent and Owen and Lyle.
Well, we'll adjust that down the road then.
Yeah.
So right now, if I can just summarize with my input, John, if you don't mind, that we're fine with the 200, 400 on the gravesite purchase, correct? On top.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then the Buhl resident burial fee, $300, $400, we're moving 300 to 400 on the Buhl resident, and the non-Buhl resident stays the same. Okay, then Saturday or after 3:30 PM, $300 Saturday casket burial, that will stay the same. Add-ons, the Saturday urn burial will go from $225 to $125. The $80 per hour on weekdays stays the same. Winter rate, $150 add-on stays the same. Baby burial stays the same, $100. Cremains burial will leave the same, correct, John?
Yeah.
Okay? And then the exhumation will move from 600 to 800. So my next question would be, do we have to do a resolution to approve this, or can it just be a motion, attorney?
I don't know what the past practice is.
The past practice was just, this piece of paper was,
Okay.
it's like a
Fee
city
schedule.
policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if that's past practice, that's just changing the fee schedule for Lakeview Cemetery.
So that's kind of what I'm recommending. I'm recommending leaving the non-Buhl alone.
Because I basically went through this and we're not charging enough for the burial services because of all the equipment we need. And I thought we were a little high on the cremation part of it. So we did what I thought.
You have a hard talk, so tell Laura.
I'm wondering why we're going down on the add-ons. You know, 150.
For where, here?
Yeah, why are we going down?
Because of the amount of services we provide is not much.
We dropped it $100 for an urn burial on a Saturday. It went from $375 to $275, right?
125 to, from 225 to
We
125.
dropped it $100 the whole package.
It was one person and a shovel, that's my understanding.
Yeah, and it's
There's
just,
no equipment.
I guess, whatever, but why we?
I kind of argued with John a little bit prior to this too, but it comes back to fairness for the cost associated, whether it be whatever, and that seemed a little high. And it seemed to fit in with some of the other groups, so. Is there a motion with those numbers?
When will these rates become effective then?
Whenever you decide them.
What would you recommend, Ryan?
I guess I would actually recommend the first of the year, because I guess my thought is, what about the people we've already charged the higher
Okay.
fees? I mean, granted, it doesn't really matter, because if the council makes a decision, it go, I mean, it
I'd
can
be
go
comfortable
whenever.
with that. And Mr. Marcus, are you gonna make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, Johnny, you're the cemetery Nazi.
You're Well, what you brought up, and we only lowered it 100, Stuart, and we moved it back 100 on fees, so I think,
I would say that
It's all-
cremation part is,
so motion by Marcus,
motion by Marcus.
support by Claridge. Further comment or discussion? Last chance, Stuart. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, motion's carried. That's my bedtime.
January 1.
January, yeah, effective January 1, I'm sorry. Okay, now what are we on to?
I still move we approve the motion, resolution 1918 for
This call?
donation to disc golf for $114.
No, from.
We'll accept it.
We'll accept it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're giving it to us, yeah. Okay, there's a motion, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Stuart. All those, further discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carried. Resolution 1919, donation to the senior center of $1,000 from the city of Kinney for the senior center. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Stuart. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Jim. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
It's pretty much an annual thing that they do,
Yeah, that's good.
for Buhl Kinney Senior Center.
Yeah.
And
So they're paying $1,000 for the right to put Kinney on them, onto the name, right?
Nice.
I guess.
Okay, then H, Resolution 19-20, donation to the library of,
Beginning Ken Mueller, Serrano,
oh, that's Bina?
yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch that right away, okay. So $100 donation, is there a motion to approve? You better do that, it's your buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion to
Okay,
approve.
is there support?
Support.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign, motion's carried. I, City Internet Services, discussion, approve, reject, we've just moved that down the road.
Well,
Is there a motion to table?
Well, their first motion is to see what they offer, what they can offer.
Yeah, I think I would
But we
just
should table it, shouldn't we?
table it.
Is there a motion to table, I, City Internet Services?
Make a motion to table I.
I'll support that. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Minnesota Rural Water Association dues. This is a necessary evil from what I understand.
Yeah.
But we do get training out of it too, so it's a reasonable amount of money, so what, $250? Is there a motion to approve the MRWA dues?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Stewart. Is there support?
Along with being a member, if we have trouble locating lines or whatever, they come up with
They'll
that.
come and do that? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
They
We more than
provide-
get our money's worth
They
out of it.
provide more services than our
Okay.
dues.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
It was moved and supported. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carried. Lawnmower motor discussion. We blew an engine, that's all I know, so we need a motion to replace that motor from Grandy's, and it was for,
How much is a new lawnmower?
that's what I was just gonna
11,
say,
12 grand.
at least.
How old is this lawnmower?
I don't know what year this one was.
They actually, I believe they blew motors on two of.
Okay. Next question is, why did they blow? Didn't somebody check the oil?
It wasn't the oil. They did check, that's the first thing I asked Trent too. Well, aren't you guys checking the oil? But I don't know
Can
exactly.
we do a maintenance log there so we know when the oil was changed, when they're check, how many miles are on these?
That's being my next question. How many hours are on this?
I'd have to double check. But
Well, the thing is, we need it.
Right.
The kids are cutting to beat the band, but we gotta make sure that we train them to double check some of this stuff before they.
I'll check on that too.
Okay. So the bill came to $2,330. Is there a motion to approve this? Maybe we should look at a new one for the next season.
How many more we got?
Three?
And
Four.
Four.
It's been a couple of years since
We have
we've bought
3
it.
Toros and we tried Husqvarna.
Well, Trent should give us a report on the update on all this equipment.
I will inform him of that.
And just help them out to get on a buying schedule.
Sell this one of them and get another one.
Okay.
Ryan, do you know, is the city cutting the grass around the Judson pit where the disc golf is?
They sent the kids back there with, I believe, weed whackers.
Okay, because somebody had cut the grass behind my yard there on that trail there, and I was wondering, geez, I wonder if they're sending a lawnmower down there, because those lawnmowers aren't gonna
No,
take
Trent,
that terrain.
Trent.
We went in there once and he hit some, when they went in there and whacked the trees and stuff down, well, they left stumps like 3-4 inches. And then Trent says, we're not going in there anymore.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, no, even just to cut the trail, and they're
That's
so,
good to know.
they're so rutted from four-wheelers that
Oh,
you're
yeah, you
gonna,
can't cut
you're
that.
gonna
No, we know.
bend the shaft on those lawnmower blades, or?
I don't know, they were up there. Yeah, you can't go in there. We couldn't go in there.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're not back there with the actual. They've sent the kids back there with
Okay,
the weed
that's.
whackers. So.
So we have a motion to purchase
Do
mower.
we have a motion support yet, Ryan? For
I
the
don't believe
lawnmower?
so, no.
No? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Marcus, is there support?
Also,
Support by Stewart. Further discussion, we've discussed it, okay, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion's carried. Other business, Stewart, got anything?
nope.
John?
No, just keep following up on their cameras and putting up signs of lower, I think that reward system is gonna work well. Post some signs up here if you're caught dumping stuff.
Okay.
And what we do is, if somebody's dumping garbage someplace and somebody sees it, and they get fined and they get prosecuted, we actually offer the person that turned them in, after the person is convicted, a part, $100 of that reward.
Yeah, I'm looking into a few different ways on how we make that.
Is that legal,
policy
Mr. Attorney?
kind of
Well, I
thing.
think you
I think you can do
can
that,
have a
yeah.
reward.
Turn in poachers, tip. Okay,
But you want to find out what portion of the fine actually comes to the city, so you're not giving
Well,
more.
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be $50.
Yeah.
But still,
Something.
I mean, there's a few spots we need them signs.
You want to be anonymous.
Well,
Then you can't get the reward.
Well,
Somebody gets turned in, they're gonna.
you have to wear a Halloween mask or something. If you come up here to.
Anything else, John?
Come
All that
collect
you got is
your
going on that?
reward.
Well, no, just like I say, follow through on the cameras and the signs.
Okay, Jim?
I don't have anything.
Al, I've got two things. One is I want to thank Ryan and John once again. We have different groups looking at the school. We're going to have to make a decision on school here pretty quick and maybe do some due diligence on some of these people making offers and maybe look at doing something. So we're constantly looking at that. That's on the front burner with Ryan. John's the next on that, and I'm trying to...
Front page too.
Yeah, front page too. And the other thing I want to talk about, I'm looking at the attorney right now when I say this, I did for the first time since it's happened, the fireworks, I happened to be in town, and I think that's great. Then my next question, of course, and I talked to Ryan about it, he said, well, we have to have a licensed and a permitted person, all that, but I just want to know if the city, through either the rec department or Beat or somebody, can contribute some dollars towards that. This is a volunteer person that does it. He does collect dollars from some of the residents and some people, and I think I was impressed. I think the city should do something, but I just want to make sure that
Well, I can take a
There's
look
any
at it, but
rules on
I know other cities contribute towards the fireworks for the 4th of July, if that's what you're talking about. And as long as he's, got the proper credentials or certification to do the fireworks, and you can check with the league also about potential liability. But I believe you can, but I'll follow. It's not going to happen immediately. I'll follow up.
No, we've got it here.
Yeah, but I believe you can, because other cities contribute towards the fireworks display in their cities.
My concern was obviously whether he's licensed and.
Yeah, we don't want any liability coming
kind
our
of
way.
carrying fireworks across state
We want to be a
lines
good
kind of
citizen.
thing.
Coming from Rick, if you gotta ask. You can't,
If
Yes, absolutely.
if you don't ask.
But I want to get the word out to this fellow that does that. It's great, and he puts a few bucks into it, and he doesn't get it all back. So.
And it would have to be legal.
Right,
Not gonna
and
do
I'd like
anything illegal.
Clerk Permanency through council's direction, to who he is, what his credentials are, how he's obtaining the fireworks, along that line.
Yep, I mean, we'd have to come up probably with guidelines that either we'll get from the city, League of Cities, or else an opinion from you too. That you double check with that. It's just to keep us out of trouble. So, with that, I have nothing further. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make one.
Motion by Stuart. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Jim. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.